I think that actually leads me into my next question. So how is AI and machine learning affecting cybersecurity today? So a lot of our audience, obviously, we have 2.5 million users across the world, largely in the cybersecurity and IT space. How would you say it's improving operations, detection, across the board?
When you think about cybersecurity, you really have to think about the entire life cycle of cybersecurity, right from how do you detect, how do you protect, how do you predict, how do you plan? So when you think about that entire life cycle of cybersecurity and you think about that for your entire digital landscape, which means you're thinking about, things like cloud, you're thinking about your servers, you're thinking about your mobile devices, your desktops that you're using, you can understand it's a very complex problem because the IT landscape is so complex and so disaggregated, right? You've got all kinds of network devices, things are connected, and it's complex also because you've got now NIST tracks number of vulnerabilities. There are now up to 110,000. In fact, NIST is based in Maryland itself, right? And every employee has become a vulnerability itself because people's credentials can get easily stolen because people use the same credentials in consumer sites as they end up using within the company. And so this problem has become very complex, and this is the reason why companies have started to apply, whether we think about the companies in the DC metro area, and there's a number of cybersecurity companies based here, or across the US in general, they've started to apply AI in many different ways. Some of the three big ways that I have seen application of AI, both at Symantec and at Unisys, has been one, in the threat detection space, because when you think about detecting a threat, there is two things that you have to do. You have to map, you have to sort of figure out, is there an indicator of compromise, which means is there a certain malware signature that I can map to? And AI is very good at pattern recognition. So you don't have to have an exact match, it can match a particular pattern. And that's what typically unstructured learning does. The second piece that AI can be very good at, where it is used, is detecting if there is something different going on. So a lot, because this problem space is so complex, one of the things that AI provides is called anomaly detection. And so the idea is if people start to, let's say you've got an employee who has never accessed source code and suddenly starts accessing source code, it's an anomaly. And maybe it's okay, but 99% there is something perhaps fishy going on. And so AI is also very good at figuring out what's normal, what's abnormal, and having that with a level of confidence. So these two areas are very common. The third area that AI is starting to get used a lot in cybersecurity is really around simplification. Because cyber is very complex, people end up even having cyber products but not deploying them in the right way, not integrating them in the right way. So, for example, we recently added AI in our product called Stealth because we want the cyber product to almost tell the customer how they should be configuring them, how the policies should be, instead of the customer having the expertise to put those policies in. And so combination of detecting the threat, of being able to simplify the policies, of being able to detect an abnormal behavior, and then finally also assisting the humans who are working in cybersecurity, who are the SOC analysts, with a variety of figuring out which things are important to go after versus which ones are not. So these 3 or 4 use cases are big for AI in cybersecurity.
Are they using AI much for just the straight automation? Because it's like if you detect a threat, and then maybe it's interpreting that there might be a threat, or that someone seems to be probing. Is there any automation going on right now with AI for that?
Yeah, so I think actually that's a great question. Thanks for asking that. So there is a big field in cyber called SOAR, Security, Operations, and Orchestration and Response. And what SOAR intends, and this is one of the companies that Palo Alto had recently bought called Demisto for almost $450 million. And what SOAR intends is to really integrate a lot of these pieces together so that way you can orchestrate a response. In the past, they have been silos. And so where AI comes to play is, you can do automation even without AI, But where AI comes to in play is intelligent automation. So you, instead of saying always if something happens, this is the thing to do, AI can help things be a little more unstructured, so it can almost recommend kind of what to do and almost do it for you. So you can set up very interesting rules that can help AI, automatically say, if you detect this pattern, maybe you should download this type of software and close these ports, or perhaps isolate this user. So these are definitely some very upcoming examples of AI where it's getting used mixed by RPA, which is robotic process automation, together with pattern recognition to do what AI can do, which is intelligent automation.